this video, you will learn how to edit your data source with a form component. This feature allows you to manage your data without having to use the data source interface on Fliplet Studio or have app users add their own data. First, we will use the List from Data Source component. Then, we will set up a form component. Make sure that when you are setting up the components, they both link to the same data source. You can either use an existing List from Data Source or create a new one. To create a new List from Data Source, drag and drop the List from Data Source component into the screen. You will have a choice between a directory, feed, agenda, featured list, or simple list style. For this video, we will choose the directory option. Select Create the List Data and name your data source. You can also update this with your own data and configure the data view settings. Next, click on the list, and in the settings, select the Entry Management drop-down, selecting the option to add list items. You will need to create the form in order to finish this step, so click Save and Close for now. Click on the Add Screens button and add another blank screen to the app and name the screen. Add the form component to the screen and select Use on the blank form option. Add all of the fields that you need to include in order to collect the current data. Ensure that these match the field name in your existing data source that you used with your List from Data Source component. When you are finished setting up the form fields, click on the Settings tab. Make sure to set the form settings to save the form submissions to the same data source you created in the first screen. Choose the submission options you wish to use. Typically, you will want to choose to add new submissions to a data source. In this case, we will also want to select Update existing entries in a data source. You also need to choose what the user sees after they submit the form. In this case, we will send them back to the directory list screen. Now save and close and return to the directory screen you created earlier. Click on the List component in the screen and scroll down through the options on the right. Open the Entry Management options again and link to the form screen so that users can add data through that form. Click on Edit List Items and choose Users can edit their own list items and select the form screen again. When you are finished with the entry management, you will need to select the field that stores an author's email from the data source. At the bottom of the Entry Management section, choose your email field under Select Field where the post author's email is stored. At the bottom of the List from Data Source settings, you must also select the data source where users are listed. This can be the same as the data source you are using. In this case, it is, so under Select the data source where app users are listed, we will select the same data source. Under Username Data Fields, choose the fields that hold the user's name. If there are two fields, such as first name and last name, you can add both of these. Finally, select the field where the user's email can be found. When done, click Save and Close. Finally, you will need to update your data source security rules to allow the form to add the data. Open your data source and select Security Rules. For this example, we will select All Users Can Read to start. This will open a new window where we can add more options to this rule. To have the form allow us to add new data, we will also need to select Write and Update. Once you have configured your settings, select Confirm and then Save and Apply. If you need more support with data source security rules, see the How to Use the Data Source Security Feature support article on the Fliplet Help Center. To test that the List from Data Source and form are working correctly, move to Preview mode. First, test by clicking on the Add button. Test that you can enter data into the form and it appears on the List from Data Source screen when you submit it. If you are logged in, then you can also click on the item that was added and click Edit to check that the fields populate the form.